Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Discussioneers podcast. Fair warning, we're breaking away from the tide. This is an update. Big update. I know we had said last week we were going to be doing the Sorcerer and Warlock subclasses discussion. However, between last episode and this one, another Unearthed Arcana dropped, and we want to jump into this newest edition first. We will, of course, head back into the Sorcerer Warlock discussion next week. Unless, of course, something else drops, but I doubt it. We'll see. This one is not a subclass discussion, though. By the way...
No, but luckily, it is the shortest one of all of them. So, don't have to worry about it.
Of course, I am Matt. I'm joined today with Bryce and Nate. We only have 3 of us today, so less voices for you to... Isn't it weird?
I don't like you calling yourself Matt. That's uncomfortable.
That's my name.
I know, but I don't like it.
It's my given name.
I don't like your name.
Well, fuck you. So yeah, we have a new Unearthed Arcana that just dropped, and this one has to do. It's a really interesting one. It's called the Unearthed Arcana Class Feature Variants. It's a 13-page document here that talks about variant class features, like not just subclass features. This is normal class features that are either replaced or enhanced in some way. And there's a list of these enhancements and replacements for each class in the player's handbook. And there's a bunch of shit to talk about. So hopefully we can kind of power through this because it's a lot. Again, 13 pages. But before we get started, I just want to point out that, again, this is Unearthed Arcana stuff, so it is still playtest. So none of this is official content. It will most likely be changed before it becomes into any sort of book. I do think, it's my opinion, that, with the frequent releases of Unearthed Arcana stuff and subclasses, and now this particular document, that, it seems like Wizards is ramping up for some big book release that is going to be Xanathar's-esque. It's going to have a bunch of alternate rules, obviously more subclasses and stuff like that. I think that these rules are about to go through. At least the thought of variant rules are going to be published in some form in a book. I would guess we'd get an announcement sometime next year, probably during their big yearly stream event, but who knows? I don't know. I hope not all of these get put through, but we'll kind of talk about that as we go. So let's get started, shall we? So the document goes through every single class. It is going to, we're going to kind of go bit by bit and compare the alternate ability versus the previous ability and kind of go from there. So getting started, this ability applies towards all classes, and it's a...
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Please tell me, BB, we're not going through every single fucking part of this 13-page document.
Oh, we will. Some of them are like duplicates.
What if we skip the spell list? Because
can we at least skip the spell list? Like, if you're interested in the spell list, we'll post it in chat. But also, it's available on the usual Unearthed Arcanas. But the spell lists are nothing. They're not new spells or anything. Right. It's just stuff you gain access to. A lot of Xanathars, a lot of stuff that already made sense. So just look at it yourself, because we will be here for an extra 30 minutes discussing spells.
Well, I figured we can briefly talk about the use in general, but we're not going to go through every single spell, and we're just going to kind of go through each of the abilities because and some of them are reusable. So there's some abilities that are used on multiple classes, so we only need to talk about it once. So it's not going to be as bad as you think.
And like, talking about the mechanics first, the way I understand this, and correct me because I think you've read a little more in depth to this than I have.
Mm-hmm.
These are just available. You either it swaps something out or it adds on to something you already have. You don't have to do anything. So long as your DM allows it, you can just have it.
Right. That's the nature of this document. It's either, you're exactly right. So it specifies per ability. It either replaces a previous class ability or it enhances a class ability. And granted, there is a caveat that says, your DM must allow all or some of these features, which I think makes complete sense because some of them I don't like, some of them I do, etc., etc. But yes, you're exactly right. So Before we get to the individual class stuff, the very first thing in this document talks about an enhancement for the ability score improvement. That's a thing every single class gets at various level intervals, where you either can choose normally to upgrade, get 2 points to upgrade your ability score, your ability scores, or if your DM allows optional feats, you can take a feat as well. This particular variant rule allows a third use of ability score improvements that don't do any of the previous ones I mentioned. So whenever you gain the ability score improvement feature from your class, you can also replace one of your skill proficiencies with a skill proficiency offered by your class at first level. The proficiency you replace needn't be from the class. This change represents one of your skills. What is that? I don't know what that word is. I'm an idiot, so I'm not going to. Yeah, basically, the gist is you get to learn another skill proficiency.
I want to show my linguistic skills here.
Atrophy.
Yeah.
Well, there's an ing. It doesn't matter. So the point is you get a skill proficiency, and it can only be from the list that your first level class is. So if you started as a fighter, you can only get the fighter list and stuff like that. I honestly don't hate this. You don't really get a lot of options to get new skills in the game. I mean, even like the rules in Xanathars to learn new proficiencies, none of it is about skill proficiencies. It's all about tools or languages and whatnot. So it's interesting to be able to have an option to take blips. And I mean, it's an ability score improvement. So you're getting rid of the ability to up your stats, or if your DM allows feats, getting rid of a feat. I don't think I hate taking a skill proficiency, especially because a lot of feats just give you skill proficiencies anyway.
I figured you would hate it because this is the dipping of this Unearthed Arcana.
No, I mean not necessarily, because you're limited to the skills of your first level class. So it's whatever you took at first level. If this specified it can be any class that you're proficient in, then yeah, that'd have it dipping problematic. So you do a level 1 sorcerer dip, and you're
human. Every single one should take this.
So I don't know. It just I actually liked this one. I don't know about you guys. It's just a neat alternative to use for ability scores improvements. And I think actually that's a good point. Before we continue on, I think as we go through these abilities, we should when we kind of give our opinions and then say, would we allow it or would we not allow it in our games?
I like that. Yeah.
So I would allow this. I think I would allow this.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I like it. I think for sure the fact that it costs something I enjoy. It's one of the few things in this document that I actually like. Mm-hmm. Spoiler for my upcoming opinions.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah. So yeah, okay.
I don't like Dungeons and Dragons. Let it be clear.
Yeah, you hate the game. I don't know why you play it. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna head into our first class. This is the Barbarian, and this has a couple of features that change. The first one is Survival Instincts. Now, this is a replacement to Danger Sense, and to compare, so a default Barbarian has a second level Danger Sense, which is just advantage on Dexterity saving throws and effects that you can see, which is super powerful because things like Fireball are things you can see, a lot of traps are things you can see, just a lot of stuff. And having advantage on dex saves, advantage, as we've all agreed on, is a massive boon. And so if you take this alternate feature, Survival Instincts, you get rid of Danger Sense, which means no more advantage, and instead you become proficient in 2 skills of your choice of the following: animal handling, medicine, nature, perception, or survival. And your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make using those skills. So basically, you get like expertise from the rogue class, but only for this small selection of skills. But again, you get rid of your ability to have advantage on dexterity saving throws. Now, my opinion is I think that this ability is underwhelming compared to advantage on dex saves. I don't know why you'd ever take this.
If you pick this, you are just objectively wrong.
I mean, the only thing the only thing that I can see this being useful for is having expertise in perception checks. I mean, that perception checks are one of the more common skills.
In the early game, medicine for sure, because you can use that to try and save someone that's dying. So before you have healing and stuff. But again, if you choose this, you are objectively wrong. Dexterity saves
The
are one of the
barbarian
most
is like
common in this
save
game.
lives.
Having advantage on a dex save is huge. Imagine a disintegrate comes at you. You've got that coming at you, and you're like, oh shit, I wish I took advantage now that I don't need double proficiency on medicine.
You'll have double proficiency to perceive this big thing coming at you.
True.
So then you
Also,
can cry
don't
to your
glance
DM.
over danger, since also you can't be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated.
Huh?
Well, no, it's only available while you. So
Right.
I mean, sure, yeah, this can't be taken away from you, but you know, at 14th level, do you really need that extra plus to perception, or do you need that extra plus to anything else on this list?
I think it's incredibly underwhelming with how amazing advantage on dex saves would be. My opinion, I would allow this, but I don't know why you'd ever take this.
I would I would allow it, but I would yell at my player like, "Why?
Why are you doing
if you want to gimp yourself, go for it. But I'll allow it, I guess. Okay. Next one is Instinctive Pounce. This replaces Fast Movement, which is a 5th level ability for the Barbarian. Fast Movement is just pretty straightforward. It gives you an extra 10 feet of movement speed. And instead, you get, when a creature ends its turn within 15 feet of you, you can use a reaction to move up to half your speed to a space closer to the creature. This movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. So you're trading off just movement always for a reaction, maybe a little bit more movement that you can. This seems a little bit weird to me.
So this is the one thing. One of my off-stream games, they just hit level 5, and the Barbarian actually took this.
Really?
Unfortunately, they've yet to be able to use it, so I can't like say on its effectiveness. But I kind of like it, but I think it is underwhelming in that you are guaranteed going to gain the benefit of having 10 extra movement.
Yes.
Forever, like permanently, because there are things that like you gain flying, like winged boots, you gain flying speed equal to your walking speed. That translates directly into extra flying. The nice thing is though, this doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. So if you don't have like mobile or like some things that can negate that, which even mobile, I think you have to attack someone to get that effect. Pretty nice. But you're using a reaction, which means you're missing out on attacks opportunity yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, if it was like 30 feet and you could move your like entire movement as a reaction, that would be pretty dope. I think that would make it pretty worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's situational, right? I mean, this is something, you're using a reaction, which, I mean, that means you can't use your reaction for anything else. And yeah, you might get a little bit of movement, but that's only in the circumstance where someone ends its turn within 15 feet of you. You know, in most cases, if someone's coming at you to be that close, they're going to probably close the distance and get right into your face anyway. Versus
that's why I would definitely up it.
Yeah. So versus obviously having 10 movement speed forever. So again, I think this.
Why?
Right. So I think this ability, just like Survival Instincts, suffers from it's just not as good as the original. So my opinion, I'd allow it, but I don't know why you take it.
Yep.
Everybody else? Good?
Yep. Why?
I mean, I literally allowed a player to take it, and
that's fair. That's fair.
I hope it's useful. I really do.
Well, thankfully, the next page of this document just lists a bunch of shit. I don't know why they put it. I don't know why they started the abilities, and then the layout of this document is a bit weird. So, heading on to page 3.
2 pages down.
Yep. Heading to page 3, we have the Bard. So as we mentioned, first of all, a lot of spell class. I think actually every spell casting class has a list of extended spells. We're not going to go over all those. Again, you can check out all the spells for yourself if you pull up the document. We'll be here all day for talking about them all. I think it's neat. I mean, having more spell options, cool. I feel bad for those who are playing, games at a table and they have their spell decks because none of these spells are going to be included in those. So sucks to be those guys. But yeah, I mean, cool. New spells. I mean, I didn't really, if I'm being honest, go through them all. So I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it because I didn't think we discussed it a lot. But for the most part, cool.
It's
new
mostly
spell options.
logical stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, like Bard, like get cause fear. I just assumed they already had that. Why wouldn't Bard have cause fear?
Yeah, that's true. So I'd probably allow it. I don't know. Again, it's up to you. It's just more spells.
I want to put my foot down here and say Wizard of the Coast has fucked up, and I'm glad they finally fixed this. That Bards didn't have color spray beforehand is a travesty.
Oh, that's true.
I'm glad they've remedied this age-old gripe I have had with their wonderful, wonderful game.
Yeah,
that
I didn't
swear
really
don't
look
hate.
through the.
Okay. So it
spell.
sounds
Anyway,
like new spells as a plus. Again,
Yeah.
you guys can go over that. We're not going to spend our all day doing this shit. So, but let's go into the actual bard abilities, because here's the interesting stuff. So the first one, it looks like they only get 2 as well. Both of them are their first level abilities, but we have Magical Inspiration, which is a first level bard feature. It enhances Bardic Inspiration. So versus getting rid of it, it just takes all the things you already have with Bardic Inspiration, and adds this additional feature. If a creature has Bardic Inspiration, has a Bardic Inspiration die from you and casts a spell, the creature can roll that die and add the number rolled to 1 damage or healing spell of the spell. The Bardic Inspiration die is then lost. I don't like this. And the reason why is people have to take like full-on subclasses to be able to enhance the Bardic Inspiration. For instance, to be able to use a Bardic Inspiration die to add to damage, you would need to take, I believe it's a College of Swords, or maybe it's it's a subclass, a 3rd level subclass. So now you're taking a overall just bonus and just giving it to all bards. I don't know, it just seems weird to me.
It's also huge. Damage, I don't really care about. That's like such a minute thing. What I care about is the healing. You give it to like, oh, hey, Druid, you got healing word? Cool. It now does an extra D6 or a D8.
That's true.
It now doubles the amount of healing it does. Congratulations.
Yeah. I don't know. For me...
This is getting stuff I don't like about this document. I really enjoy the things that replace stuff. I think a lot of it's underwhelming, and I don't know why you choose it, but I like the option. I really, really don't like this, where it's just you get another thing for free. There's no cost. You just and I've gone on record. I'm the DM that likes to like power up my players and like give them like I like them to be stronger than than normal. I don't like though there just being a document of here's a bunch of extra stuff that just you have.
I don't hate the extra stuff. I just think some stuff is unnecessary. And like this and you look at every subclass for the bard, and like every subclass, which is a 3rd level thing you get, has for the most part some form of bonus you can get to Bardic Inspiration. So it just feels like something like this belongs in a subclass. It doesn't belong to just give it to every bard. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Yep. So my opinion is I wouldn't allow this one.
I wouldn't either.
At first level,
yep.
Next one, which we actually see this particular ability in multiple classes, so we can kind of skip for it in the future, but it's called Spell Versatility. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace 1 spell you learned from the spellcasting feature with another spell from the Bard's spell list. This new spell must be the same level of the spell you replace. So it just enhances spellcasting. So basically, classes like the Bard and Sorcerer and stuff like that, they just learn a select amount of spells as they level up, and then they just have them forever. When you level up, you can swap out spells that way. But for the most part, you just have your full list. So with this feature is you can be constantly swapping stuff out once per long rest and kind of basically turning a bard into a similar to like how a druid and a cleric works, where you have all your spells and you're just going to be mix matching little by little every long rest. I don't like it. I think there was a reason why certain spellcasters are designed differently. You're moving the bard and other classes into a direction that kind of makes them too close to the other casters, and I don't like this at all. I would not allow
it. Okay, so I'm conflicted on this because I like it on one hand in that if you have never played a bard before, you've never played a spellcaster, and you pick like, oh, all these spells seem to neat, and then you just have a spell you never ever use and it's just sitting there, then that's hold on. Before I continue and make a fool of myself, bards do get to swap out spells when they level up, right?
Yeah, every class does, which is why I don't see the need for this ability.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like definitely classes are for like in the event of like, oh, I don't like this spell, but yeah, when you level up, you could just swap it out.
Yeah, when you level up, you're getting a new spell and you're also replacing a spell. So you're doing this anyway. So, there's no reason to be doing this every long rest. It just seems tedious. No. It seems like you're trying to turn the bards into clerics.
There are classes that allow you to do something like this. Like, there's no. And in fact, again, you just get it for free. Like, if your DM allows this, then it's just you're not giving away anything.
Yeah, but the thing is like classes like this that have a lot more going for them than just their casting and whatnot. having them have that much, I mean, versatility, which is the name of the ability, just seems like a bit much, and it seems unfair to other casters that have their whole repertoire and that's their shtick, to be like, now they're taking, you know, they chose their druid, they chose their cleric because they didn't want to have to pick a class where they are a little bit limited. But now that limited class now has that same range of versatility, maybe not as much. It's still limited to 1 spell per long rest, but still it just makes it so, you know, you're stepping on each other's toes and you're making the classes a little too similar, and I don't like that.
Yep.
So
this has cemented in my mind. I'm banning bards from my games. Actually,
well, you're an asshole.
I'm
Don't
not
do
allowing
that.
bards.
Nate, what was your opinions?
I do actually like this. I would totally allow it, except for the little sub ruling in there that specifies that cantrips are spells and that cantrips are also subject to being able to be switched out, because it's the only like cool subclass or only cool class thing that the name of the class that I play, you know,
The Artificers.
Artificer.
The Artificer.
That you enjoy playing so much.
Yeah. I think it's like, yeah, they do something now that other classes can do, but it's only 1 spell. I don't know. And like they can swap it out when they level up. There's some games that you'll play even through the quick levels. You know, not everybody levels up quickly all the time. So there's some games where the way the DM runs the game is they really like levels 3 through 5. So
that's
35 sessions are level 3 through 5, and you've leveled up twice going through a Fungeon. And
I mean, to your point there, I get it. It sounds like we're pretty split on this, but I don't like it personally.
Yeah.
That does.
If this was just like a feature, then I'd be okay with it. Like if you just gave up a feature. The fact that they have that for the skills one, where you swap out a skill, is a feature, and this isn't, baffles me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't like it. I mean, it looks like we're torn on it. That's fine. We don't need to get hung up on it. There's plenty of document go. And also, to Nate's point, I mean, we got coming up here one of my biggest gripes for this document. So we're moving on now to the cleric. And god damn it. So this first ability that the clerics get is the biggest goddamn problem I have with this document. So it's called cantrip versatility. Now it operates very similar to how spell versatility works. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace 1 cantrip you learn from the spellcasting feature with another cantrip. Wait, actually, no, I'm looking at that. Maybe I read that wrong. I might have less of a gripe than I thought. I mean, I still have a bit of a gripe. So basically, I did read. I thought this was once per long rest, like spell versatility. So I did read this wrong. So this one is just you can swap out your cantrips. Every time you level. That I actually do like. I usually allow this anyway for my players, if I'm being honest, even before this document came out, because cantrips are kind of, you know, it's you know, they're
other spells, you can be stuck from level 1 to 20 with more or less the same cantrips, aside from the new ones you gain. So like. But why isn't this just like an overall spellcast thing? And why does the bard get one that swaps out cantrips on a long rest, and this is when you level up? Why the difference in capability there? I would have just said this is like they did for the skill thing. This is all spellcasters can get this. Right. They can swap out cantrips on long rests.
So wait. Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay,
or not long rest. Sorry, level ups.
This is where I got confused. Okay,
yeah, so you're thinking about that little subtext there as well, so the rule tip.
Yeah, so there's a rule tip under spell versatility, and this is where I got confused. That you were talking about, Nate, that cantrips are considered spells, so you can swap out your cantrips per long rest. That is the shit I hate, for a couple of reasons. One, for the same shit we said with spell versatility before. I'm not going to repeat myself, but there is a class that is coming out soon. We're pretty sure it's pretty on par. There's been a couple of really big updates to it. It's the Artificer. There is a book coming out with the official released Artificer class. That's going to be in literally 9 days as of recording this podcast. And unless they change it, there is a level 10 ability in the Artificer that allows you to swap out your cantrips. Yeah. So why the fuck are you giving this level 10 ability to everyone? Level 1. It makes that cool ability completely pointless.
Oh, not everyone.
Hard, dude.
I mean, Or no, is it even? Hold on, is it?
It's
like
everybody
wizard
with
or...
spell versatility, which there's
Oh,
multiple
shit.
classes on this document.
Oh yeah, that's
It
true.
is fucking
That is
dope.
baffling.
Yeah.
You're taking your class, which isn't even out yet, and you're saying "fuck you" to your level 10 ability.
This strikes
Everybody
me
else
as
gets
the
a level
most-
1.
This
hate
is the
it.
most playtest document I think we've ever seen them publish. This literally feels like a bunch of homebrew stuff that
Yeah.
like the various DMs of the office had, and they just
Yeah.
threw it in a document. Like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
basically it. So that's the shit that my biggest gripe with it. The cantrip versatility, where you can swap out a cantrip every level up. Cool. You're already doing the same thing with spells. I'll allow cantrips. I don't care. I'd allow cantrip versatility. You fucking swapping out cantrips at a long rest, go to hell.
I hope. Yeah, I was gonna say I hope that you allow it because I've been doing it pretty much every time I've leveled. So.
I allow, like I said, I allowed it before this game even came out, or this document
And
came out.
Mars changes cantrips, and by that I mean get some.
Yeah, I was gonna say anyways, so yeah, I think we all agreed with that. Let's move on.
Yep.
So the next part of the cleric is just more spells. Again, you guys can check out the document. Some stuff that makes sense here. Cool. Channel Divinity, Harness Divine Power. This is interesting. So obviously a default cleric's Channel Divinity is going to have like Turn Undead and stuff like that. And then your subclasses, I believe, give you some extra uses depending on what you choose. But this just gives you another use on top of Turn Undead. So every cleric would get this. That's called Harvest Divine Power. Right, correct. You can expend a use of your Channel Divinity to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain an expended first level spell slot. So you use your Channel Divinity, which is either 1 to up to 2 per short rest, to give yourself a first level spell slot.
So this is basically like a weaker version of a Pearl of Power, is what I'm getting. Because the Pearl of Power, I think, is you can you spend. I think it might be an action, but you regain a 3rd level or lower spell slot. I believe it's a little like it's not restricted to level 1. I think.
Well, I mean, you also have to keep in mind like design. It's been stated multiple times. Design on 5th edition classes and whatnot is designed without magical items in mind. The exception of the Artificer, but that's a thing on its own. But the Player's Handbook classes are designed without magic items in mind because magical items, like many other things, are, believe it or not, an optional rule. You don't see very many games that don't use them, but you know.
Yeah, sometimes though it's not in a vacuum, right? And I wouldn't like obviously you can make any magic item, like still comparing it to stuff they have in the DMG. I feel like is useful in some regard because this is like a similar mechanic, which I don't hate. It just seems, I don't know. I mean, I'd allow it based on the fact that it's not that amazing compared to what some of these subclasses get as their channel divinities. You know, if I'm a war cleric, I think I'm going to take that like +10 to attack rather than a first level spell slot.
I mean, I like it because like you're getting rid of you're still using you're still using your feature, which means you can't use any of your other channel divinity options, which some of your subclass ones are going to be pretty good. But like your default thing, if you're just comparing it to default channel divinity, like let me pull that up real quick actually. So before you consider your subclass, because you get this right at what, 2nd level? So that's before you, no, actually you would have your divine domain. So but I mean you typically don't get your first channel divinity divine domain feature until you get to like I think 6th level. So when you first get access to your channel divinity, the only thing you have is Turn Undead, it looks like, right? And then you get, you know, depending on what subclasses you are, you get so
your channel divinity, I believe, is 2nd level from your subclass.
Right. So that means from levels 2 till 6 before you get access to your other well actually, is that true? Because
because like Forge already has his channel divinity. I think that's pretty much across the board.
Well, what let me pull this up.
Their 6th level is a different ability. That's for all clerics, they get challenge of anything at 2nd level. Both.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're right. So your subclass does give you your channel. Okay, that does make sense. But okay, so yeah, I mean, you're giving up something probably really cool. I mean, look at a Grave Cleric who can give someone vulnerability to damage for a 1st level spell. I mean, it's not overpowered, and I don't hate it. Like, what happens if you're out of spells? It's kind of cool to be able to use this one ability to give you at least a 1st level spell to maybe do a Guiding Bolt or something. I'd allow it.
Mm-hmm.
But why though? Yeah, it's just enhanced, so you just get it.
Well, you know what? Actually, I might retract because you can game this. you can game this because you get your channel divinity back with a short rest, which means if you're just spamming short rests, you can just get all your first level spell slots back all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're kind of wasting time, especially if you go by the book where it's an hour to short rest. That's less viable, but definitely you could be, because eventually you get multiple uses, right? You'd be like, all right, cool, I got 2 more first levels.
Right, but I mean, like, there's first level spells that are like that definitely like out of combat spells, and you can just be like, I cast this. Oh, I use my channel divinity. Oh, we're traveling for a while in this cart. Okay, I'm gonna short rest back here and get it back. Like,
I'm not opposed, but I mean that is a little concerning. You could game it. Can I pose a question?
Sure.
This is called Harness Divine Power. What the fuck are you doing with your spells if not harnessing divine power?
That's true.
That this is something special.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know. I started to like it, and now I'm on the fence. So I don't know. Anyway, should we move on?
Do it. Game the system.
Yeah.
The next one is Blessed Strikes. 8th level divine domain feature or places divine strike or potent spell casting. So with every class or every subclass of clerics, you typically at level 8 get just like a 1d8 damage of a specific type, depending on what class you are, or you get potent spell casting, which I think improves your cantrips or some shit. So this ability gets rid of all that, and instead you get this. In battle, you are blessed with divine might. And when a creature takes damage from one of your spells or weapon attacks, you can also deal 1d8 radiant damage to that creature. Once you deal this damage, you can't use this feature again until the start of your next turn. Well, I'll tell you right now that there are some classes that there's no reason not to use this ability. Like when you're a fucking, the Trickster domain cleric that has 1d8 poison damage, one of the most resisted damage types in the game. You better not if you have this option, not take this fucking shit, because, I mean, first of all, you're getting, like, the normal divine strikes means you need to hit someone in melee. This means with this ability, you can be flinging your spells, being safety at range, and still getting that same extra 1d8 damage, but, without the risks of getting up in people's faces.
I don't get this. Why are they allowing this?
Think about, I can think of a cleric that I play a game with who constantly has this giant aura around them, doing damage to a bunch of enemies around them at all times. Just every round.
It's true.
So boom, boom. Like when a creature takes so.
Are you guys aware though how this
would it just be one creature? Like if 5 creatures take damage all at the same time by an attack, you just choose one of them?
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right, Nate. This doesn't it doesn't give you like a reaction. It's just they always take the 1d8.
It says a creature and then that creature, so I think it would be
so you would have to just choose a singular one out of them.
Oh no, okay. Yeah, so it does say once you deal this damage, you can't use this feature again until the start of your next turn.
Starting your next turn, right? So still you can.
If you look at how the other divine strikes and potent spellcasting, so you have 2 versions. You have a divine strike and potent spellcasting. Potent spellcasting is when you deal a cantrip damage, you add your wisdom modifier. Divine strike is once on a turn, you deal extra damage on a melee attack.
Yeah.
This does both of them and works on non-cantrips.
Right.
This is just objectively better.
Yeah, so that's the biggest issue I have with this document is like when you're thinking, variance, right? A variance to an ability. My thought is, okay, so it's going to be a different option I can choose, but they're going to be of similar power levels. But that's not the case in abilities like this one, where this is just clearly better in every way. If this option is on the table,
domain deals a d8 of extra radiant damage once per turn on a weapon attack. If you're a life cleric, you would take this because it's just you're giving up nothing. It's just better.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If a variant rule, to me, if you're gonna have variant rules, there should be a reason to take both of them. But that's not the case in this ability. This becomes.
There is one thing.
Go on.
The only thing that makes it slightly worse. It states at 14th level, your divine strike goes up to 2d8.
So this one doesn't scale. That's a good point.
It doesn't scale, but that's at 14th level.
Yeah,
6 levels from now.
At that point, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I just if this is on the table, there's no reason not to take it. And I think that's when you have a problem with the variant rule, because then it's just why would I get myself by taking the original ability?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't allow. Nope.
Okay. Moving on to the Druid. Again, cantrip versatility. Already talked about that. Horse shit. Druid spells, all there. Wait, no, we said versatility is fine. Yeah, I keep getting confused. Anyways, cantrip versatility. We already talked about it. Druid spells.
He hurt himself in the confusion.
I know. So the only thing for druids is just this one thing, which is an enhancement to wild shapes. You still get all of the other things for wild shape you'd get, but you get this ability as well, called Wild Companion. You gain the ability to summon a spirit that assumes an animal form. As an action, you can expend a use of your wild shape feature to cast the Find Familiar spell without material components. When you cast the spell this way, the familiar is fey instead of a beast, and the familiar disappears after a number of hours equal to half your druid level. So you're giving your druids just another way to use your wild shape, but they turn it into a Find Familiar, which has on its own a bunch of really cool uses, like being able to catch touch spells through it, and your scouting capabilities without you having to do it yourself. But the caveat of this thing doesn't last forever like a Find Familiar does. It does last the same amount of time as your normal companion would. I don't hate this, to be honest. I think it's really cool that you can just
kind of like a subclass.
That's my one gripe is it is close to subclasses.
Yeah,
it's kind of like in just this one second level thing, it's a whole other subclass, like
right. And I would agree with you, but I mean at the same time,
just use your familiar to do things for you.
Right. Now I get that, but at the same time, to the converse point of that, druids normally anyway have access to a lot of summoning spells, right? That you can conjure all sorts of woodland beings and stuff like that anyway. So I don't hate this as its own thing. It's getting rid of one of your wild shapes anyway. You're still limited to the smaller creatures, weaker creatures that Find Familiar has, but it just gives you some, a different way. Like it's a druid, right? You're a person attuned to nature and whatnot, so you're able to already summon
I really
things.
like it. I think it's really cool. It's
one of my favorite parts of the
Malfurion vibes from WoW, just shedding an eagle from yourself basically, and sending it off to do something.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I would allow this. I think it's probably one of my more favorite options in this document.
Yeah, I would allow this
one for the druid.
The only one for the druid. What starts concerning me now, though, is we're getting through this, and for some of these classes, we wouldn't allow anything from them, so it starts feeling unfair that oh, this druid gets a bonus thing, but if you play a bard, fuck you.
I know that's the problem.
So to me, it almost feels like, as much as we're saying we like individual things, in practice, I almost feel like it would be
it's either all or nothing.
All or nothing, because otherwise you're being unfair.
Yeah, well, if I'm being honest right now, and have kind of told other people in my groups that I've been playing off stream and whatnot, it's I'm at the moment I'm not allowing anything from this document for that exact reason you mentioned. It just some things I like, some things I don't like, and if I allow the things I do like, then other people kind of get left out, and that's not fair. Anyways, let's move on because we're running out of time here.
Sure.
We're up to the fighter now.
Fighter. That's all fighter spells, right?
Yeah. So
they also have mechanics. They also have cantrip versatility, which is weird.
Right. Fuck.
Pretty
okay.
much.
So there's a lot to the fighter. So... a lot to the fighter, which we're gonna kind of power through as fast as possible. But the first one is fighting style options, which is enhancing fighting style. So this just adds a new fighting style possibility. Where's that at? You get see page 12. Fuck me, I had to scroll down. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So with some of the other martial classes, there's a whole bunch of new fighting styles that you can take. Let's go through those right now, so that way they're out of the way and we can skip them in the future. We have blind fighting. So basically, with most first level martial classes, you have a fighting style. There's archery and dual wielding and stuff like that all kind of enhance and give you some sort of ability that you trained in your way to do things. The first one is blind fighting, being able to see a creature that doesn't impose disadvantage in your attack rolls. being unable to see a creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls against it, provided the creature isn't hidden from you. I think this is very situational. Unless you're playing specifically a blind person, then you're just taking this fighting style that would otherwise be useless until you become blind. So it's a bit weird to me. I guess I'd allow it for certain circumstances, but I don't know what you guys think. Interception is the next one. When a creature you can see hits a target that is within 5 feet of you with an attack, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage of the target by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 0 damage. Basically, like the monks deflect missiles shit, but with melee weapons.
It's also very close to the protection fighting style, which is a concern for me.
True.
Because protection is you have to be wearing a shield and you impose disadvantage, while this is you can just guarantee reduce damage and you don't need to be using a shield. You can just have a simple martial weapon. Which I don't know why it specifies you need to be wielding a shield or a martial weapon, because you're gonna have one or the other unless you're like the start
or maybe
of a fight
both.
Well, I think it's just in a situation where like you're completely unarmed, you can't.
I guess, yeah.
Thrown weapon fighting. I actually like this one. You can draw a weapon that has the thrown property as part of the attack you make with your weapon. In addition, when you hit with a ranged attack using the thrown weapon, you get a +1 bonus to a damage roll. So just, this one seems a little bit more on par with the other fighting styles, just a minor bonus. Then unarmed fighting. Your unarmed strikes deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier. If you strike with 2 free hands, the d6 becomes a d8. When you successfully...
I love this.
When you successfully start a grapple, you can deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage to the grapple creature. Until the grapple ends, you can also deal this damage to the creature whenever you hit it with a melee attack. So you basically can turn your fighter into a strength-based monk.
I love the idea that you just well, it's time to go for the haymaker, and you just bring the most inefficient.
So those are the 5. Real quick, I'll start. I would allow blind fighting, I guess, in certain circumstances, but for me, unless you're playing a blind character specifically, this fighting style would get you little to no mileage unless you become blind. Interception, I don't like that. I think you're exactly right. Protection fighter makes the more sense to me. I think this is just kind of stepping on its toes. Thrown weapon fighting, sure, I'll allow it. Unarmed fighting, sounds cool enough. I'll allow it.
What do you think it means by provided the creature isn't hidden from you for blind fighting?
If it rolls if it's hidden behind another creature or a wall or something.
Still though, if something's invisible, then blind fighting would work for that, right? That seems
well, I mean,
because someone being invisible is the same as you just closing your eyes and not being able to see them. So I mean, reasonably, that means you can have an easier time hitting invisible things, which is nice, but still situational.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I would probably allow almost all these. The only one that I'm iffy about is interception, because I feel like it's stepping on the protection. Because I feel like I would almost prefer having interception, because I can guarantee certain disadvantage is nice because it's like an all or nothing. You might completely deflect an attack, but so they might already have disadvantage.
How does math work out?
Yeah, versus being able to guarantee, removing a good amount of damage.
Yeah, I'm the same there. I would allow all of them, but that one.
Yeah, I'm a little.
Some of them though are just again why.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that both unarmed fighting and interception both step on the monk's capabilities. That might be a little bit of a concern there.
But... not as much as you might think, just because of some of the other things they get for their unarmed things, they become magical, and you can attack with your bonus action as an offhand. So
okay, so let's head back up to fighter and continue on. So those are the fighting options. Bards, paladins, fighters, paladins, and I think rangers get access to
unarmed bard.
Yeah, right. So next up for the fighter is I think. Superior technique. You learn one maneuver of your choice from among the.
This is another fighting style, basically.
Oh, okay. So it's another fighting style that gives you an extra battle master maneuver rather.
Which you don't have to be battle master to take this, so you could be a different subclass. Right.
I do like this because. Do you know? Because I haven't read it in a while. The fighter. Actually, I guess I could pull it up for the fighter's battle master. Defaultly, is the DC only your strength based? Is it calculated only your strength?
I think it's
I'm gonna look it up
proficiency and
now.
everything else.
Well, I know that, but hang on, because this is something that's interesting to me. I just need to make sure I. Okay, so it is defaultly. It is you can choose strength or dexterity. I thought that this particular ability, where it says strength or dexterity, was a unique thing to that, but it's not. It's basically you just get an extra maneuver and an extra superiority die that's only a d6.
Right.
I think
doesn't
that's
go up.
Yeah, it doesn't. I
It's
honestly
interesting
don't.
because there's a feature that also does this, which is weird.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe, but I just feel like the other things are more useful, and I don't know.
I think this is actually pretty strong considering some of the abilities, like the fainting attack. Because I in the same game where the barbarian took that the alternative, we have a battle master fighter, and you could take the feigned attack, which is you spend your die and gain advantage on a melee attack, and add the die to the damage. There's some very good maneuvers, so this is pretty strong.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a bit annoying that you have to track two different types of superiority die because this one doesn't scale.
If you if you want Battlemaster and picked this, which why would you?
Right. So I don't know. And then the other thing too is like you'd always get a maneuver despite taking another. I mean, I guess if you're a champion fighter, that would be useful, but that's about all I could think of.
Still, I mean, I could see all kinds of fighters gain the benefit of having a maneuver. I mean, it's a nice thing to have.
Sure, I guess that's fair. Okay, maybe I would allow this then. It's just it's a weaker version of Battlemaster, but it allows
and a weaker version of the feature, which is already a weak version of the Battlemaster.
Right. So okay. Moving
on.
Sounds
pretty strong.
Right. So moving on, we have maneuver versatility. Versatility is used a lot, and that word is used a lot in this fucking document. So
it's a versatile word.
This is only for Battlemasters, and it enhances their maneuvers. It just means that you can replace one maneuver with a different maneuver whenever you finish a long rest. This change reflects your physical and mental preparation for the day ahead. So rather than making strategic and smart choices for your character as you level up, you just get to swap those out every long rest and always have the right maneuver for the job. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I'm not opposed to it because I thematically it makes sense that like you're a fighter, why can't you learn a different fighting like maneuver?
But then you forget the previous one.
It's just a matter of what you've like practiced. I imagine it being like like you start like practicing in the morning, like one would.
Either you're waking up and you're like meditating and like doing Tai Chi, or you're getting up and you're like hitting the fucking speed bag.
Yeah. Or like think of it like wizards, just because they don't prepare a spell, like they still know they know it. They just haven't like thought, they haven't like practiced it for the evening, right? I don't think it's terrible. The only thing is you already get like a decent amount of maneuvers already.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd allow this.
There's a bunch more.
I don't like it for the sake of choice in D&D, and maybe that's just my preference. Choice in D&D, has the consequence, and like you take one thing and then that's what you get. Like sometimes, sure, you can swap things out when you level up and whatnot, but it's limited. Like once you pick something, you're locked in, and you need to make sure when you're making a choice. Anytime you have a choice, like choosing maneuvers and stuff, it's it's kind of special. You're building, like, that fighter is unique in the way that it only has these particular maneuvers. With something like this, that means you can always be swapping around, and then rather than having two different fighters. What's that?
If you just change it to when you leveled up, you could swap them out. It'd be fantastic.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, that makes way more sense too, because it's like you're spending that whole level training for this new thing.
Yeah, swapping out a level, absolutely. Every long rest, nah. Moving on, the fighter has a lot of shit. So this is
the fighter spell list. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this is maneuver options. These are just more maneuvers you can take as a battle master, which is a whole bunch of list of stuff you can already do, which we're not going to go over. So let me try to power through these as fast as possible. We have ambush. You make a dexterity stealth check, or an initiative. Whenever you make a dexterity stealth check or an initiative roll, you can expend one superiority die to add the die to the roll. Bait and switch. When you're within 5 feet of an ally on your turn, you can expend one superiority die and switch places with that ally, provided you spend at least 5 feet of movement, and this movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. Roll a superiority die until the start of your next turn. Your ally gains a bonus to AC equal to the number rolled. We have Brace. When an enemy you can see moves within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to expend one superiority die and make a weapon attack against the creature. And if it hits, you add the die to the damage roll. Restraining Strike. Immediately after you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend one superiority die to use a bonus action to grapple the target, and then add the die roll to the Strength Athletic check. Silver Tongue. When you make a Charisma Deception check or a Charisma Persuasion check, you can expend the die and add it to the check. Snipe. As a bonus action, you can expend one die, make a ranged weapon attack. You can draw a thrown weapon as part of making this attack. If you hit, you add the die to the damage roll. And then Studious Eye, when you make a Wisdom Insight check or an Intelligence Investigation check, you can expend one die to add the superiority die to the ability check. So some of these don't even really seem very combat oriented, which is interesting.
Yes, yes. I love all of this except for Snipe is broken. But the rest of them are fantastic. Especially this same group, just last session, this Friday, they literally had a situation where, like, is there a way for me to swap place with this person? And, like, I told them, like, you could, like, hold your movement and whatnot, but there's an actual ability they could, and they are a Battlemaster fighter. They could
I messaged Matt, and I was like, imagine being able to, like, have tag team fighting on the front lines.
Yeah.
You just tag your buddy in, swap out.
Two fighters with bait and switch would be really cool. I love bait and switch. I don't hate ambush. That's cool. Brace. I don't remember what that does. Meh. Except for what it does, so meh.
Once your creature gets within 5 feet, you spend your reaction and can make an attack.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, you're spending one.
You're using your superiority die. That's fine. I'd allow it.
And the die.
Restraining Strike, bonus action to grapple after you attack. I mean, that's not unheard of. I mean, if Druid can fucking turn into a bunch of beasts, I'm pretty sure they can do this. Silver Tongue is strange because, again, it's not a combat thing. I think maneuver, and I think, combat maneuvers. So this is just
true.
Maybe out of place. So I don't know how I feel about that. Snipe, you're getting a free attack as a bonus action.
Nope. Don't like it. Don't like it whatsoever.
That's meh. Yeah, I don't like that.
Also, on top of the fact, it gives you the throwing ability
yeah. So there's no reason, like, any fighter could take this and just be like stab, throw, stab. That's not great.
I don't.
Studious Eye, again, another non-combat thing. I don't know how I feel about the non-combat things. It's a maneuver.
I love it.
You're a battle master, not a fucking fantastic private eye. All right. I mean, I guess you like it. We can agree to disagree on that one, but
I just think fighters need more interesting stuff because they're fighters.
Fighters need to fight. That's the name of the class.
Well,
yeah.
All right, let's move on. So there's a lot of stuff there and some interesting stuff. I mean, can we agree that we allow some of them, we wouldn't allow others? That's pretty straightforward.
Halfway there. Now we're moving into the bonus action, everybody. We're gonna,
okay, so Monk. Fuck, we gotta. Goddamn. Okay. Monk.
Power on through.
We're powering on through. You can use this feature. Monk weapons. So normally a monk, what's considered a monk weapon is obviously your unarmed strikes and whatever proficiencies a monk would normally have. This particular thing just makes it so you can choose a bunch of weapons up to your wisdom modifier to also count as monk weapons. And you become proficient with those weapons, and they can't be heavy, special, or two-handed. I don't like it because you can just start taking weapons that are clearly better than the original options and break the build. I mean, monk weapons.
Here's
themselves.
The thing, and why I hate this, because I have played one of these. Kensei Monk exists, where you get long swords and stuff as a monk weapon. So this isn't even a thing you swap out. You
just let everybody do it.
This ability shits on the Kensei. Absolutely, because then the Kensei ability is pointless.
Yeah, it's a big deal for the Kensei monk to get like longbows and stuff as a monk weapon.
Yes.
Just like sure.
You just get it now.
I hate it. It makes.
Admittedly, it says it can't be heavy or two-handed, which is I think the longbow and what like the Kensei does get like heavy and two-handed weapons.
True.
But still, like this is still like way too close to what they unlock.
Yeah, Kensei monks, in my opinion, are borderline underwhelming anyway. So by giving every monk this ability, then there's no reason to play one. I don't like it. I think I
know of hand crossbows as a monk weapon.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, fuck that. Get out of here. Nope. So, anyways, we have Next one is key fueled strikes. This is a thing. This is a feature that just enhances your key points. If you spend 1 key point or more as part of your action on your turn, you can then immediately make 1 unarmed strike as a bonus action. So basically, if you're using key to like do like step of the wind and stuff like that, this still allows you to make an extra attack. What fucking? That's annoying. Like you already have so many options as a monk to hit a billion times anyway. Why are you giving monks even more hit opportunities?
I was confused there for a second. I forgot that there were other like key abilities for that. I was like, don't you get to do that anyway?
No, it's when you do things like step of the wind and things like that that just like enhance your movement speed. Yeah, patient defense. Yeah, so you can patient defense and also hit. No, I don't like it. I don't like this either.
Monks, it's like it's an enhance. You just get for free. No.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you're just giving extra power when there needs not to be.
Because the whole point of doing Fury of Blows is you get that one. It's only one attack on top of the normal bonus action that you get, right?
Right.
So like it makes Flurry of Blows like way less powerful because you're like that one extra attack is like, well, or I could get dodge and have disadvantage against me for everything.
Exactly, and still be able to hit once. Yeah, it makes you're exactly right. It breaks the balance. I don't like it. And Nate's AFK, so we'll just assume he agrees.
Yeah, we assume that he loves it and would like to play it.
Next up is key features. These are just extra things at second level you can spend your key on. Looks like there's only 2 of them, thank fucking God. We have Distant Eye. When you make a ranged weapon attack, you can spend 1 key point to prevent attacking at long range from imposing disadvantage on your attack rolls until the end of your current turn. That's pretty cool. With a Kensei monk, that would be fucking awesome.
I would be okay actually, with that.
Yeah. Quickened Healing. As an action, you can spend 2 key points and roll a martial arts die. You regain a number of points equal to the number rolled. Okay, now you're trying to turn your monk into a fighter who has a once per short rest healing, but you can do this as when you have key points, but you have a lot of key points and you get those back in a short rest. Don't know if I like this one.
You get I liked it until I realized they get a lot of key points. They get them pretty frequently. Sure, it's an action, but like out of combat, that's some powerful healing.
And it's also, I mean, a martial arts die, scales. I mean, your first initial is like a D4, and then eventually it goes up to maybe a D8 or D10. So it's not going to be that much healing. So, I mean, even if you did, I mean, I probably would allow this because, I mean, honestly, now I'm thinking about it, like, I don't know. I'd have to do the math, but like 2 key points for a teeny bit of healing, but at the same time, like it said, it kind of steps on the fighter's toes. The fighter has its own. Like,
I wouldn't allow this because, like, at a decent level of like level 6, for instance, that's 3d6 extra healing you can give yourself with all your key points, and then short rested.
So
get them back, and that starts going up.
I really like Distant Eye, though. I think that's really cool. And like I said, I think that would stack well with the Kensei Monk, which I think needs a little bit of a power boost anyway. I'd probably allow that one, but I don't know if I like this quickened healing. Okay, moving on. We're now at Paladin. So Paladin just gets those fighting style options we talked about before. There is an additional thing that you can get here. Where this is only if a Paladin can choose this one, which is a fighting style called Blessed Warrior. You learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the Cleric spell list. They count as Paladin spells for you, and Charisma is your spellcasting ability modifier for them. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of these cantrips with another cantrip from the Cleric spell list. Basically having the Cleric or the cantrip versatility for this particular ability, but basically it gives Paladins who don't get cantrips otherwise to have a little bit of Cleric cantrips. You're giving up your fighting style for some range attacks. I mean, I guess if you want it. Most Paladins are going to be in the melee. So a lot of cantrips are going to be kind of...
I think there's some good, like, non-fighting cantrips, though. Because you get things like guidance and other stuff that Paladins would be able to get.
That's a fair point I didn't consider.
I like this, aside from the fact that you can swap it out. I don't know why you get both of those. I feel like you should get, like, I would be even fine if you just got a cantrip, and that was your cantrip for the rest of your, like, existence.
Sure. I mean... I don't know. What's your thoughts, Nate, now that you're not AFK anymore?
I kind of agree. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on the same thing too. I'm on the fence with this one. I mean, I guess I think it requires a little bit more study to see. Maybe this is something you put in front of like Brian and be like, "Hey, Paladins, which already get a lot of shit, what cantrips, if they had, would make them even more broken? Because I think that would be the biggest thing. If there's like a cantrip that they could take that would just make a paladin, which is already one of the top classes in the game as it is, way better.
You're just getting 2 extra. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's again, I feel like tweaking it slightly would make it pretty good. But as it is right now, I wouldn't allow, because not only getting 2, you can swap them out. So
yeah, it's like that's true. The out of combat ones are kind of big.
Yep. All right, so yeah, okay. Well, we'll
just kind of on the
move on from that one. Paladins just get more spells. We'll go over that.
Yeah.
So channel
divinities. Finally harness divine power. Finally, this holy class can use the power of the divine.
So okay, I do want to point out, even though we talked, this ability does the same thing as the cleric does, which is you can use your channel divinity to expend a first level spell slot. I think it's extra broken when put into the hands of the paladin, because paladins can use their spell slots for divine smite.
Yep.
So you give them to the paladin, they're already blitzing and zerging, and now they're going to be able to use a bonus action to get another smite back. Yes. No, that's a bad call.
I want it for my paladin, baby.
No, I kind of
done.
I kind of didn't like it for the cleric. I definitely don't like it for the paladin. I think that's a bad combination. That makes them super strong. Again, paladins are already a fucking strong class as it is. I don't think giving him options for more power is necessary. Okay, so let's move on. That's the paladin done. Ranger. So keep in mind,
allow everything. Rangers need whatever they can get.
Right, so yeah, we need with the ranger. These are defaultly compared to the player's handbook ranger. We of course here at the Dungeoneers use our own custom class, which we will talk about on a future episode. So let's just go ahead and go over these real quick. First one is Deft Explorer, which replaces Natural Explorer, and there's a list of abilities here that you can you choose, and then you get another one at 6th and 10th level, which means that there's 3 abilities here, and therefore you're going to get all 3 of them at some point anyway. It's just a matter of what order you get them. Anyways, the first one is Canny, which is you choose 1 skill: Animal Handling, Athletics, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Stealth, or Survival. You gain proficiency, and you get expertise. You get double proficiency on that skill. And in addition, thanks to your extensive wandering, you're able to speak, read, and write 2 languages of your choice. Roving, your walking speed increases by 5 feet, and you gain a climbing speed and swimming speed equal to your walking speed. And then Tireless, as an action, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your Wisdom modifier. You can use this special action a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, minimum once, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, is decreased by 1. So defaultly, the Natural Explorer Ranger, just does mostly out of combat stuff, right? I don't remember what it does. I should probably pull up. It's been a minute.
It has all to do with traveling and
it's non-combat traveling stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like this because that was a big weakness of the Ranger. Is like, I don't even get to use Natural Explorer because in my campaigns we don't travel. We're just now you're in front of this dungeon, blah blah. Like I don't get to take advantage of these things. So
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So it is nice to have that option if your campaign just doesn't have or wouldn't take advantage of any type of traveling or anything like that. Then these are nice to have. The question is are they just too strong or not strong enough?
So yeah, pulling up the default, if we're comparing this to default Ranger, this is just by the book Ranger, this we can talk about real quick because we haven't used these default rules in a while. Normally, Natural Explorer is when you choose a favored terrain, which is a big problem with the Ranger in a lot of people's minds anyway, because if you're in a campaign that doesn't have that feature that terrain, or may not ever at any point, it becomes useless. And then you just get a bunch of literally exactly what you said, auto combat bonuses to those favorite terrains. It's very campaign specific. It's not good when it's literally the only class that does this kind of shit. And so you're getting rid of that. You're getting rid of the need for favorite terrain for just these good abilities. And what's cool is some of these abilities kind of translate to the adventuring kind of stuff too, like roving, which gives you the climbing and swimming speed. Like, that can translate to, if you're, just better all around at climbing and swimming and stuff, that can easily be translated by your DM to how you're exploring naturally. But at the same time, depending on how your battle map setup is in combat, like those can be useful as well. So I don't hate this.
Here's the thing, and why I love this for I don't think it's that big of a deal with our revised stuff, but the Natural Explorer is so situational, and even in campaigns that have like travel, I mean, like you guys were saying, like even in those it's situational because you're picking a single type of train that only then you get to pick extras at like 6th and 10th.
Mm-hmm.
The roving ability alone is just better because 5 feet of extra movement and I can climb and swim normally.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Just that alone. If that was all you got for the entire class, that would be better.
That's true.
That would be it.
True.
I personally love this. I think Rangers, in my opinion, need a lot of love anyway. And I would even go as far as to say that we have our own ranger that we use. I would still allow our rangers to choose our version of Natural Explorer, which is better than the original Natural Explorer anyway, or choose this ability. I would allow this. I love it. I think it's cool.
Yep.
Moving on. This is next is Favored Foe, which replaces Favored Enemy. You can call on your bond with nature to mark a creature as your favorite enemy for a time. You know the Hunter's Mark spell, and Wisdom is your blah 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 for it. You can use it a number of times without expending a spell slot, and without requiring concentration, a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, a minimum of once. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Holy shit. I love it. You're getting rid of the need to do the extra damage against favorite enemies, but like Hunter's Mark is a ranger's bread and butter. And having the use to do it without expending your spell slots, I think that's really cool. I like that.
No concentration.
And no concentration.
That's a big thing.
That's huge. I love it. You're getting, like I said, you're not going to do your extra damage against your favorite enemy. Those are already, again, situational anyway. If you're going by the book, you're choosing your favorite enemies that you might not even fight, or you fight once and then, it takes you 25 sessions before you even see another one. In our rules, in the document we use, there's an ability, we have the option to swap out your favorite enemies when you finish a long rest. But again, in my opinion, this is another thing that I would allow you to switch. I think it's just really cool. Hunter's Mark, again, it's every ranger takes Hunter's Mark. I don't think I've seen a ranger, from someone who has any sort of experience under their belt playing D&D, not take Hunter's Mark. So just being able to have a better version of Hunter's Mark and being able to do it, without using your very limited spell slots,
it's what
by getting rid of your favorite enemy feature, I'm okay with it.
And you always remember the Hunter's Mark. You never forget.
Yeah, it's true. I wish the rest of this document was structured like this. Like, this is just...
Well, I heard a couple places that the Ranger was the reason that they originally wanted to do this type of variant stuff years ago. And so this document is I think they spent a lot more time on Ranger than they did anything else.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had an Unearthed Arcana 10 billion years ago about, a revised Ranger, which is what we based ours on. And that tried to address a bunch of issues. I think you're right. I think they made an announcement, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, way back when, that they weren't going to develop the revised Ranger at some point, but they were going to do a variant rules section. And I think this is the first draft we're finally seeing of that. And I think it really shows, like, what... I think you're exactly right. I think this was mostly like, here's how Ranger should... Here's a way to make Ranger better, and here's some other shit for other people too.
Just to make Ranger playable.
And here's some other
12
shit
other
too.
Pages.
But yeah, I love it. I think it's cool. I'd allow it 100%. Moving on, fighting style options. We went over those before. There is one unique fighting style option for Rangers called the Druidic Warrior. You just learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the Druid spell list. And you can... So basically the same thing as the Paladin, but rather than taking cleric spells, you take Druid spells. I mean, I guess... I don't have as much of a problem.
Flavor to a Ranger.
Yeah, I don't have as much of a problem, my opinion, as the Paladin to the Cleric, because the Druids, if I'm not mistaken, have a smaller selection of cantrips they can choose, and not many of them are very good combat-wise, because Druids, their bread and butter is their normal spells and wild shape and stuff. So again, it had to be something I have to check to see if there's any spells in there that could break it, but I have
Druids
a feeling
have a
that
much higher or have much more cantrips that they can actually access than clerics. Clerics have a very limited list comparatively.
really?
They have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Clerics have 9, while druids have an impressive 1, 2, 3.
This is the counting episode of the Discussioneers.
How impressive!
18.
Oh shit!
18
Okay, so maybe I got that
cantrips.
backwards.
They
So
have twice as many.
I don't know how I feel about this one then, because for me again, it's a bunch of research I'd have to do to see if there's a particular cantrip combination that could break the build, but at the same time, to both
Give them
points,
druidcraft. Give rangers druidcraft for God's sake.
I mean, you could
Just let them
essentially
have
take
that
it with this
flavor.
ability. But then again, you're getting rid of one of your style options, which like one of the fighting style options is, has to do with giving yourself extra damage. Is it extra damage or extra attack to range attacks? There's a fighting style that goes hand in hand with rangers if you're playing a ranger.
Archery, you have +2 bonus to attack rolls and making ranged weapons. So
yeah,
like, +2 to hit.
So unless you're playing a melee ranger, which isn't unheard of, like that's like your go-to fighting style option. So you have to get rid of that to get a couple of cantrips. Okay. I mean, maybe.
I think it's just like I said, just an option to flavor your ranger a bit more naturey.
Sure. I guess that's true. Okay.
My opinion is the exact same as Paladin. I don't like you can swap it out and whatnot, but otherwise, cool.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so spell versatility. Same. We've talked about that shit in the past. Spellcasting focus. This is a little interesting tidbit. You can use a druidic focus as a spellcasting focus for ranger spells. So defaultly, a ranger could only use a component pouch. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they don't have a focus at all. Right. So this just says, hey, you can use a druidic focus instead. That's fine. I mean, it literally does the same exact shit. It doesn't matter. It's just a difference of flavor. So I have no problem with this.
Do you have your
components? Don't even track it anyway, so who really gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Primeval Awareness. This just replaces Primeval Awareness. Oh, excuse me.
Wait.
Primal Awareness replaces Primeval Awareness.
I did do double check as well. That's a little close, don't you think?
That's a little close. So
wizards?
Primeval Awareness is a bunch of shit. I don't want to go through them all, but if you take this optional feature, you can learn additional spells. That's all it is. It's just you get an expanded spell list, which none of them are combat oriented. They're all looks like RP focused stuff, which I think Primeval Awareness is mostly.
And you can cast each one of them for free, which is pretty big.
Oh, is it? You can do that? Oh shit, that's
you. You can cast each of these spells once without expending a spell slot.
Holy fuck, that's way better than I thought. And normal Primeval Awareness was, by default, if we're looking at default ranger, is you spending a spell slot to see if creatures are present within a mile of you, of your favorite enemy and stuff like that.
Yep.
This is just way better. And I mean, that was another one of the gripes with the default ranger, is using your precious, very limited spell slots to do that ability that nobody wanted to do. Now you have some cool spells that you can do for free. That's cool.
As a DM, I like this more because I don't have to be. I know this is the fucking bane of your game, BB, but like, let me tell you everything within 1 mile of you.
Right. So okay, that's neat.
Yeah, and I don't think none of these do damage. So
no, they're all RP focused spells, which I never have a problem with a RP focused spell that you get for free. That's cool. Fade Away, which replaces Hide in Plain Sight. It's a 10th level ability.
Let me just say real quick, this is weird because they've used Fade Away as a different thing. There is an existing racial feature called Fade Away, so it's bizarre that they're using it for this.
Interesting. Anyways, the normal Hide in Plain Sight is just taking a minute to camouflage yourself and giving yourself a bonus on stealth checks and shit like that. And then so you get rid of that, and instead you can use a bonus action to magically become invisible, along with any equipment you are wearing or carrying until the next start of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. It's way better. It's way better than.
Yeah, I argue that this is a different type of invisibility as well. This isn't the spell of invisibility. You just magically become invisible, and none of the
it literally says
sides of the invisibility spell.
Yeah, it's until the start of your next turn. So yeah, you could bonus action start your turn, advantage all your attacks, and just whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, that's insanity to me.
I like
that's
it.
super strong.
It's kind of cool.
It is cool, but
they're rangers. They need some stuff, man. And this is it. I love this. I would give this to every single ranger, and goddamn it, I want.
Man, he used to just be able to see footprints really well, and now he can just turn invisible.
Just.
My concern is that it just might be too strong. Like, it definitely the default hide in plain sight ability is kind of meh because it takes prep time and blah blah blah. I don't remember what we did to change it.
Doesn't he remember the own document he made?
It's been a minute, but I mean I like this. I just think it is until the start of your next turn. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's once per short rest too, so it's not like, you know, it's breakable. Anyways, okay, yeah, I guess I'd allow it. I thought about it and I've come to the conclusion I allow it.
Again, it's a ranger, so I think the bar is set pretty low for what we know.
That's true. Yeah, rangers need a lot of love, and I think that was the main. You know, I think Nate was exactly right. The main goal of this document was to give some love to the ranger, and also give some other options to other classes, but blah blah blah. Okay, this part I'm going to power through real fast. It's the last part of the ranger section here. It has to do specifically with the Beastmaster feature, and it just means that you can. It just gives you. I don't want to read this whole ability, but it doesn't. Isn't it just like there's other options of beasts you can take here that have their own little stat blocks?
Either if you use animal handling or animal friendship, you can choose something to become your companion, or you just have access to like elementals, basically, or not elementals, but elemental or element like affinity.
They're beasts.
Like animals that have affinities for animal or elements, even. So
like
you have the beast of air, the beast of earth, right? You don't have like beast of fire or anything because they're still just natural beasts, but it's basically just like a standard stat block.
But I think the biggest thing here is, you know, you have two options here: Beast of Air and Beast of Earth. They have like scaling hit points, which I think is pretty big, and they have some really cool abilities. I mean, I don't want to read this whole section again because I did it and already forgot. But I mean, I think that's cool.
It literally is just you have access to two different things, which are they're basically. They're like spirits that take the form of beasts, so they have certain abilities that they just have bonus abilities that other creatures don't. But it doesn't change the usual abilities of the Beastmaster, such as having to use your action to like make them make an attack.
Right, which is something we changed in our document. And did they does the default Beastmaster, do we know, does it have a scaling hit point pool for your beast? Because I don't think it did. I think that was something that we had to add in our document, if I'm not mistaken, because that was the biggest thing. Is I'm trying to read through it right now.
I'm not seeing it here, so
you can, its AC goes up with your proficiency. But it doesn't. Health.
Its hit point maximum equals its normal maximum or 4 times your range.
There it is.
Eventually, it kind of goes up,
but it's not very much. Okay,
not enough. Yeah.
At most, they're gonna have 80 HP at level 20, which
gotcha.
That goes away quickly.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, Beastmaster is it's a subclass that needs a lot of love. I think what we did with it was pretty cool. This is just a different take on it, which I guess, I mean, looking at these defaultly, I mean, they seem to have neat abilities. So I don't know. I don't hate it.
But
I don't know about you guys.
I like it. But if you're playing default Beastmaster, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
I agree.
Default Ranger, you're wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you're playing default Ranger, I'm sorry. I don't know who hurt you, but there are other classes out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So let's move on.
Rogue's nice and easy.
Yep, Rogue. There's literally one thing for Rogue. The balance distribution here is a little sad for this document. So Rogue just gets Cunning Action Aim. It's an extra thing you can do with your Cunning Action. The defaultly Cunning Action is just like using your bonus action to dash, disengage,
or hide.
And hide, which normally requires your full action. This allows you to do something called Aim. You gain an additional way to use your Cunning Action, carefully aiming your next attack. As a bonus action, you give yourself advantage on your next roll on your current turn. You can use this bonus action only if you haven't moved during this turn. And after you use the bonus action, your speed is 0 until the end of your current turn. I hate this.
Yes.
There's
And
a lot of there's a lot of
aside-
subclasses. Like, first of all, I get it. You're trying to give yourself advantage so you can benefit from your sneak attack, which sometimes it's really frustrating when you're a rogue and the qualifications for sneak attacks isn't there. But there is subclasses that do shit like this, being able to give yourself advantage some ways. With this, you make all of those subclasses pointless. Granted, yes, you're not moving, but fucking who cares?
You might not have to. And keep in mind, like there are
if
classes
you're a
like
rogue
the
making
Inquisitive
range
that I'm
attacks.
playing that
Oh yeah.
they have like the bonus action to gain the sneak attack, right? Like, and it's a check. It isn't just
Yeah, that's a good
gain
point. It's a
advantage.
check. You just get it. That's bullshit.
Yep. This is just something you get for free. It's an enhance.
I hate it.
Yeah.
No, I would not allow this under any circumstance.
Rogues are very strong anyway with their sneak attack, and there needs to be. I mean, this basically allows a rogue to be able to sneak attack whenever they want, which does happen a lot anyway. But
in this document that are like, we're just giving our base classes some of the things that make the subclasses like that's their thing, and they're just doing that a whole lot in this document. It's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird,
And
and I
despite
don't
being
like
called
it.
aim, it's you can do it on melee as well, which I know like you can aim a melee attack, but the fact you're just standing there like
That's a fair
this
point.
dagger, like, huh!
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you, there, buddy. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so the singular rogue ability we don't like. Moving on, sorcerer spell list. Okay, moving on. Spell versatility. Okay, already been there. Font of magic options. These add new things that you can spend your sorcery points on. They're not meta magic options. They're just abilities you can spend your spells on. It enhances font of magic, which I think font of magic is just how you convert. Isn't that how you convert spells?
Yes, which is you would think these would be meta magic, which is weird that it's not.
Yeah, it is weird because let me pull that up real quick. Sorcerer.
Font of magic is literally you can exchange spell slots into sorcery points or sorcery points into spell slots.
Right, that's true. So this
now
goes on top of that. So so there's 3 different things here. When you make an ability check in your turn, you can spend 2 sorcery points to gain advantage on the check. Imbuing touch, you can, as an action, you can touch 1 non-magical weapon and spend 2 sorcery points to imbue it to make it magic for a minute. And then sorcerer's fortitude, as an action, you can spend a number of sorcery points and roll a d4 for each point expended, and then gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the total rolled.
I love all these. I just think they should be meta magic options.
They should be meta magic. I agree.
Why are they just something you get for free?
I agree. It's weird. It's weird to see them under this ability.
I mean, all these are. I love the flavor of a bunch of like empowering reserves, especially. I love the idea of using the magic in you to like suddenly you're a strong sorcerer because magic.
Yeah. So okay, they do have a list of actual meta magic options here. So before we move on, do we all agree the same thing? They should just be meta magics.
Yeah.
I agree.
Why they're not?
I agree. But here are the actual meta magic options, which you have a limited number of these, and you can choose them as you level up defaultly. So here's a few extra ones. So we have elemental spell. So I want to caveat by stopping for just a brief moment to talk about how we mentioned in a previous episode. We are currently making our own list of subclasses for the use of our games. We're about halfway done through the first drafts of that list. And I haven't wrote it yet, but we have a really good idea for what the sorcerer was going to be. And this ability we're about to mention, I'm pretty sure Wizards of the Coast has been into my computer and stole all my notes, because this meta magic option, which I was writing for my sorcerer, they basically stole and reflavored it. So fuck those guys. They stole my shit. Yep. Anyways, continuing on. Elemental spell.
They stole your notebook from me because I stole it.
Yeah, you steal my notes. They stole. So they're hacked into your computer. You might want to look into that. But anyways, elemental spell. The thieves they are. When you cast a spell that deals a type of damage from the following list, you can spend 1 sorcery point to change that damage type to one of the other listed types, and then acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder. So the whole purpose is to convert damage of a spell to a different damage type, which I think that's cool as shit. But again, they stole my notes.
Yep. So not allowed.
not allowed because I want my version, not your version. Fuck you. Seeking spell. When you cast a spell that requires you to make a spell attack roll, or that forces a target to make a dexterity saving throw, you can spend a sorcery point to ignore the effects of half and 3/4 cover against the targets of the spell. while that's cool, I'm pretty sure there's a feat, if your DM allows it, that I think it's called Spell Sniper, that does this anyway.
Yep.
So that seems pointless to me. If you're in a game that uses feats and you really want this, just take the feat. Don't waste your meta magic.
Still, though, I love the idea of just like, they can't get us now. We are behind this wall, and this lightning bolt just like,
yeah,
yeah, like a cartoon.
Yeah,
makes its way over.
The visual is definitely there. But like I said,
there's other spells that just do it. So, or
if you're
other feats that.
If you're in a game that doesn't allow feats, absolutely.
That's a fair point, actually. Yeah.
Then
again, if they allow Unearthed Arcana, they probably allow feats.
Fair. Well, I mean, eventually this will be a.
If it was published, then yes.
Anyways, what is it? Unerring spell? Is that how you say that word? Unerring spell. Okay. If you make an attack roll for a spell and miss, you can spend 2 sorcery points to re-roll the attack roll, and you have to use the second result. Well, that's kind of cool. I mean, sorcerers, their whole shtick, right? You have a limited choice of spells, but they're mostly combat. Like, you're a combat caster for the most part. So being able to, especially some of those spell slot attack roll spells, it sucks when you miss because you're using the spell slot anyway. So being able to drop some sorcery points to give you a chance to maybe hit, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking strong.
Yeah,
but...
it's like a passive. It's always active. It's not just like I choose to use this thing. I mean, yeah, you're choosing to use it, but it's always an option.
But also keep in mind, it says specifically, and I think this will be the only one that has it, that you can use this even if you've already used another meta magic for this spell.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could like twin cast and then also unerring spell one of them.
That's a fair point. So that's
which I would get rid of that. I think that
it's pretty strong.
I would say you couldn't double up with that.
Yeah, that last caveat seems a bit weird to me. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Cause I mean, there's things like Heightened Spell, which is a default meta magic option that I want to compare it to, which basically the effect of this ability is to give yourself the effective advantage on a spell, but you just don't have to use it until you roll the first time. So it's actually technically better than advantage. Well, not necessarily, because you have to take the second result, so it could be shit. But I mean, if you're rolling low and you miss anyway, you might as well.
Yeah.
But Heightened Spell, which is an option that's currently exists in the game, is you spend 3 sorcery points and you give someone a disadvantage on the saving throw they make against a spell. Which, so as far as power level, I mean, it's up there with a pre-existing ability. But I think I agree with Bryce and the fact that second part where it can stack with a different meta magic option, I think you just need to nix that.
Yeah.
So cool. Is that sorcerer? What's that?
Sorcerer.
So just move on to warlock. That's another class that needs some love.
Yep. So spell versatility, we've been there. Warlock spells. Yep. Now we have Eldritch Invocation options. Oh fuck, there's a lot. I forgot how much there is to the fucking warlock here. Actually, let's actually skip ahead because some of these won't make a lot of sense. There's a new pact. Like there's 3 default pacts in the game, and this document adds a new pact, which is why I want to mention this first because some of these invocation options reference this new pact, which is called Pact of the Talisman. Your patron gives you a special amulet, a talisman that can aid you or anyone else who wears it when the need is great. When the wearer makes an ability check with a skill in which they lack proficiency, they can add a d4 to the roll. If you lose the talisman, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to get a new one, and it can be performed during a short rest, and doing so destroys the previous amulet, and the talisman turns to ash and dies. So basically, defaultly, the talisman just gives you a d4 to any... Whoever wears a talisman gets a d4 to any ability check they don't have proficiency in. So basically...
It's a little underwhelming.
It's basically it's just basically having guidance on at all times.
Yeah, I guess, like, Pact of the Chain's Pact of the Blade is kind of underwhelming, just to get summon a sword. But Pact of the Chain, though, where you get a free familiar that can be like an imp, which can be invisible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm see what the invocations, but just like baseline no invocations.
The biggest thing with the boons is the boons are supposed to be like a minor thing, and that the invocations that you can choose enhance it further. because some of these are actually pretty neat.
True.
So let's
yeah,
go
let's
ahead
go through
and
that.
Go along
try to
the pace
power
here.
through these real quick. Thankfully, we're almost done. We have Bond of the Talisman, which is a Pack of the Talisman feature. At 12th level is the prerequisite. While someone else is wearing your talisman, which, by the way, so the cool thing about this talisman is you don't necessarily have to wear it. You can give it to somebody else, and then they get the bonuses. But so while someone else is wearing your talisman, you can use your action to teleport to the unoccupied space closest to them, provided the two of you are on the same plane of existence. The wearer of your talisman can do the same thing using their action to teleport you. So you can give your talisman to somebody and be able to teleport to one another. It's just back and forth two-way teleportation, and there's no
limit.
There's no limit. You just fucking do it. How dope is that? And
That's pretty fucking
there's also no
cool.
limit to the range. So you can be fucking on one continent and your buddy's on the other continent, and boop, you're just. And there's obviously a reason that's a 12th level ability, but that's fucking cool. That makes Talisman way cooler than its default ability, in my opinion.
For sure.
Next up is Chain Master's Fury, which is a Pack of the Chain feature, and as a bonus action, you can command your familiar to make one attack.
Yeah, that's neat.
That's neat. I mean, some of the whole thing with Pact of the Chain is having better familiars, so some of them are pretty cool. I mean, for instance, you could take like an imp who can be invisible, so then you're making them do a attack which has advantage if they're invisible, in most cases. Not bad. Eldritch Armor. This is a Pact of the Blade feature, and as an action, you can touch a suit of armor that isn't being worn or carried by anyone and instantly don it, provided you aren't wearing armor already. You are proficient with this suit of armor until it's removed. Holy fuck.
That caveat is what makes that. The fact that you're like, oh, plate armor? Boop.
Yep, mine.
Awesome.
I like it.
Mine.
That's
Holy
fucking
fuck.
awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Just, oh, hey, this guy's got a +1 plate armor. Who's gonna boop?
Yeah, I love it. I think that's really cool. Eldritch Mind as a Pact of the Tome feature. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain concentration on a spell. Yeah, I mean, you don't have. My only concern is you don't typically have a lot of spell slots as a warlock, so this is going to get a little bit of limited access. But at the same time, because you have limited spell slots, it does suck when you drop concentration. So being able to kind of combat that, pretty nice. We have Far Scribe, which is a 5th level Pact of the Tome feature. A new page appears in your book. I love this shit, by the way. A new page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1. You can cast a sending spell targeting a creature whose name is on the page without spending a spell slot, and without using material components. To do so, you must write the message on the page, the target hears the message in their mind, and if the target replies, their message appears on the page, rather than in your mind. The writing disappears after 1 minute. As an action, you can magically erase a name from the page by touching it. So that's really cool. You have like this list of names in your secret little book, and you can kind of do some dark communications. And there's another thing on top of that I want to get to in a minute. Which is right now. Gift of the Protectors, which is a similar ability, and another new page. Well, I got a separate new page. It appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write a name on its page. We mentioned before, charisma modifier limits, blah, blah, blah. When any creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points, but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. As an action, you can magically erase a name on the page by touching the name on it. So basically, it just means you have a list of names on here, and if anybody on that list drops to 0, they go to 1 instead. It's like a death ward. And then it stops. The ability can't be used to a long rest. But I love the implication at the end there, which is an action to magically erase a name from the page. You could have your party, or even have an you can even have an NPC add their name to the page. Like, I'll protect you. And then when they're not looking, you erase the name so that they don't get the feature. They'll never know.
Jerry, I was lying all along.
So when Tarek had Marsk on the alternate timeline where Tarek became a warlock, he had Marsk write his name in the book. He then
and then he erases it immediately. I think it's really. I love the ability first of all, and I just love that caveat where you can use an action to erase the name by touching it. So both of these abilities is like you can have this cool shit and then just at your will.
Like the creepy warlock dude be like, yeah, write your name in my demon book and it will protect you.
Yeah,
There's
I love
blood flowing out of the spine of the book and everything.
I love it.
Like it.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Investment of the Chain Master, which is Pact of the Chain feature. When you cast your Find Familiar, you infuse the summoned familiar with a measure of your Eldritch power, granting the feature granting the creature the following benefits. The familiar gains a flying speed or a swimming speed, your choice, of 40 feet. The familiar no longer needs to breathe. The familiar's weapon attacks are considered magical, and if the familiar forces a creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC. Okay, some cool stuff there. Don't hate it. We next have the protection of the talisman, which is another talisman feature, as you might have guessed. When the wearer of the talisman makes a saving throw, which they lack proficiency, they can add the d4. So basically the same thing with the ability checks, but it applies it to saving throws as well. So not anything too big.
That's decent.
Yep, not too.
I don't like that's 9th level, but I like it.
That's true. And then finally, we have Rebuke of the Talisman, which is another talisman feature. Again, if you didn't guess, when the wearer of the talisman is hit by an attacker you can see within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to deal psychic damage to the attacker equal to your charisma modifier, and push it up to 10 feet away from the talisman's wearer. That's pretty cool. If you're a warlock and you give your talisman to like your other caster, you can protect them from being in the melees.
Why is this available at 3rd level, yet the 9th level is plus D4 to a proficiency you're not proficient in?
There might be a balance issue there, you're right.
That's weird to me.
Yeah. For the most part, I love these invocations. I think they're really good.
I don't think there's anything here for warlocks that I wouldn't allow other than the versatility, obviously, but
I agree.
everything else, I love it.
I agree.
It's so versatile.
Again, warlocks need everything, so...
Finally, we're getting here to the end of the document, guys. We have the wizard. Cantrip versatility, already been there. Wizard spells, already been there. Wait, is that it? Is that it?
Yep.
That's it for wizards. And they don't even get that many extra spells, because, again, they're wizards, so they just have access to everything.
That is lame. That's literally all they get? Well, that's done. We did it. We made it to the end.
All right.
Woo!
Alrighty, well that went way longer than need be. We finally got through this long ass fucking UA.
Closing thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, closing thoughts. Interesting stuff here. Again, I would wait to see what gets made to their final book when it comes out. I love some of it, hate some of it, but I'm cautioned to use any of it because, like we mentioned before, some classes don't get the cool shit where others ones do. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's definitely some neat stuff in here, and I there's some stuff that I think is necessary. I think the ranger and rogue stuff. I'm less interested about the ranger stuff because we made our own modifications, but and even base ranger with these mods aren't that amazing. But
There's
like
still
the
some
warlock
stuff,
stuff's cool.
But yeah. But
Yeah.
again, I think it has to be I like stuff, I don't like stuff. I think it has to be all or nothing thing though, just because you can't be like,
Just
oh
for
well,
fairness.
the warlock if he gets all these cool new options, but well, sucks to be you don't get anything.
Well, with that said, we can go ahead and wrap up the main segment of today's podcast. We will cut to a quick little break and head to our bonus action. Fair warning, the bonus action this go around is probably going to be shorter because we spent so long on the main stuff. As a reminder, we will be returning next week with more subclass talks. We have the Sorcerer and I think Warlock? Yes, Sorcerer and Warlock discussion. We'll have Curry on the episode because he is playing a Sorcerer from this UA, so it'll be interesting take on it. And it won't take us 10 years to get through because it's only 2 subclasses rather than a bunch of shit. So stay tuned for that, and don't go anywhere. We will return with our bonus action to talk to you guys a little bit more directly. Have some questions ready for us. If not, we're just going to go on random tangents like last time. So thanks for watching, everybody. And fuck you, Bryce. You're not allowed to say the thing.
Where's the discussion going?
Okay, he said it anyway.